Everyone, it's your favorite host with the mostesses. This is Marcus, and
Karmea Wells, the unorthodox Southern Belle.
we are here on the Gentleman Style Podcast show today, and we have an incredible guest. She is in the health and wellness space, and she is here to blow back and blow your socks off and share how we can live healthier and better lives. And she has made it her life mission to change the narrative, change Western medicine, and take us into the future and take us into this new century, living our best lives and our wholesome lives. And we are so excited to have her on the show. Right, Karmea?
Yes, we are. I can't wait to ask questions. I'm excited.
This is absolutely phenomenal. So without further ado, we can't hold this incredible woman back. She is absolutely going to blow your socks off. So here we go. Miss Dawn Wells coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. More fire. Miss Wells, welcome to the Gentleman Style Podcast show. It is incredible to have you, ma'am. How are you?
I am groovy. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. So excited to be here today.
We're so excited to have you. And you are doing some incredible work. You are doing some phenomenal work in the health and wellness space. And you are helping all of us, men, women, and everybody in between, live their best lives. But I want to start with a softball question. When did it start for you? When did you because you can do anything, right? We see the degrees on the wall, right? You could do anything that you set your mind to. Where did this ignite for you the passion to help people live better lives, and speak to the wellness and the fitness side of our lives?
It's actually a two-part fold. The first part is my own family. Cancer runs deep into in my family. I lost my mother at age 4. My grandmother the day before my mother, her mom, they both passed away from cancer. Grandfather, aunts. This cancer runs very deep in our family. And so that's one thing that initially sparked my interest in being more conscientious of our health, but it wasn't my first career, actually. What actually catapulted me into the health space myself was my battle with bulimia. For well over 25 plus years. So that's what got me started into it.
That makes sense, and that's absolutely fair, right? And that's real because thank you. First off, I want to say thank you for sharing that because that's not easy, right? That's
Mm-mm.
not easy. What would you say helped you get through those moments? Because I imagine you had to support your family when finding out your family status and diagnosis, and then turning around and supporting yourself. What got you through that?
So as I mean, here's the thing that got me to be bulimic. And I go there because it goes back to what I initially talked about, trauma. All right, the trauma of having lost my mom and my grandmother at such an early age and one day apart, and then the other family members as well. It created trauma, and the trauma, and then other things being violated as a child coming up, and then being violated in the Marine Corps. All of these different traumas triggered was first a mental uh, block, and it was a mental thing that caused me to then become bulimic. And so I believe that answers your question. That uh, I move forward, and how I get past it is by just doing what we're trained to do, keep going, right? And I didn't learn that until I got into to be adult and actually went through therapy and found out, okay, as a child you might not be in control of something, so what you do is you suppress these emotions, right? You block it out so that you could just continue to go on because you can't help it. And then we carry that same behavior into our adult lives. And so for me, it was just keep going, keep going. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Keep going.
Absolutely. Wow.
Mm.
Wow. So you're saying that the things that happened to you in the Marine Corps and throughout your life led to your bulimia and you becoming bulimic. And so what did you do? Can you help for that person, that young girl, that young
Yeah.
boy who is suffering from bulimia right now. What did you do? Can you speak to your journey and how did you overcome it? If you did, what can we do today to fight back?
It's a constant battle even now, right? But what I did when I hit 50, I hit my hardest point. I was in a relationship that was not good. It started me to have health issues, and I never had any health issues in my life. I gained a lot of weight, and it was just enough was enough. And it got to my lowest point where I started eating food from the trash because I would try to hide the fact that I was bulimic. And I didn't know I was bulimic, mind you. That's just not something that's diagnosed in the African American community when you're growing up, and especially a Caribbean community. And so I didn't know that, but I knew I had a trouble. And so I knew I had hit rock bottom when I had started going to the trash outside, not in my house, outside of my house. The kind that you take where they come and take the trash away to go to get food to just devour. And I knew it was time. I just knew it was time. And so I said, I need help. And thank God that the military, I wasn't in the military anymore, but the VA does have a very good mental health program. And I went to my primary physician there and put a note in and said, I need help. And so he then put in the referral for me to get the help that I need. And it wasn't until, and I mean, I exercise and everything, mind you, okay, all throughout this whole thing. But it wasn't until I really got that mental health help that I needed that I was able to move forward and then realize, oh, wow, this is a thing. And then this thing can actually heal other things. And so for someone dealing with this, do not hide. Don't be ashamed. Mental health is a very real thing. And the only way to heal from most of what you're dealing with is to start with that mind.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. First off, I want to say several things. One, thank you for your service.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you for
for
serving.
thank you
You're
for
welcome.
serving
Thank
in
you
our
both.
U.S. Marine Corps. Tip of
Hoorah,
the
Semper
spear,
Fi.
Semper Fi. I'm a Navy veteran.
I
We
won't
work together.
penalize you for that.
I'm sorry. I tried Marine Corps. You guys didn't want me. You guys didn't want me. You said, "Hey, this kid too busted up." Um,
Karmia's like, what? It's a Navy Marine
Right.
thing, man.
Like my older sister, she's a Navy vet. My father's an Army vet.
Oh, so
So
you know.
I just sit on the sides like,
she just let
who?
let them scrap, and whoever pick up the pieces, she like, okay, he won. Let's go over here.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Sorry, I apologize.
There ain't
no,
nothing wrong with that. I just sit there like, who's going to throw the first jab?
it's real.
This is
It's
interesting.
real. And I that is powerful to hear that you had to go through that. You did that because you ate. There was no food in the house. You ate all the food in the house. There was no food in the house. What?
No, that was food, but I threw the things that I knew I shouldn't be eating. I threw them in the trash, and there was no, so because you just binge and gorge on anything you can get your mouth around, right? And at the time, my daughter was living with me, and my grandchild was living with me, and so there were things in the house that I knew that I would devour, and I just threw them in the trash outside. So I went out to get them because it's about control, And here's the thing, I didn't know I was bulimic because I wasn't skinny, right? You think of eating disorders and you always think of the size of the person, but it's not about that. It is not about that at all. It's about the control that you are trying to attack for something that you
Mhm.
feel you have no control over. Using the food as my choice of drug. Let's say it like that.
That's real. That is so real. And so oftentimes when we hear the word addiction, we think the hard stuff, right? We think meth, cocaine, marijuana, but food can be an
Yes.
addiction. And that mental
Absolutely.
slavery,
Mhm.
yeah, that mental slavery to anything. Anything can be a drug. Gambling is a drug, even though you don't consume it. It's a drug, and it's an addiction just like the rest. Wow, wow, wow.
Exactly. Exactly.
How has that affected the way you counsel and you coach and you mentor others? What do you do when someone comes to you seeking to change their life? How important is that mindset that you work on? Can you give some examples or of how you work on the mindset before you approach the diet and exercise? Um,
Absolutely. And I don't start with the mindset, believe it or not, because people are not I'm not a therapist, although I am trained in emotional eating. Uh I don't start with the mindset. I do it all encompassing and little bits by little bits, because you
Yes.
have to do it where you have to meet people where they're at.
Mhm.
And if you want to go in and you're like, I got this program and you need to do X, Y, and Z, that won't work. 99% of the population are not going to be able to do that. So I don't just start with mindset. I start with the bit that they come to me for. So you give them what they want in order to give them what they need.
Mhm.
big thanks.
And once I start to talk to them about my 3S method and how there's science plus the spirit, which is that mental piece, equals your success, right? That and support also, I should say 4S method, but to that point, then I can start to say, okay, let's reverse. It's a reverse psychology kind of thing. So they come to me thinking, I need to lose weight because I have a chronic condition because I'm sick and my doctor says I'm overweight. I need to lose weight. So I'll say, okay, even though I know that's not what they need to do, right?
Right.
And so that's how I do it. My approach is completely different from anyone else's in the sense that I'm not going to tell you what you need. I'm going to first give you what you want. And
Mm,
in doing that, I'm I'm automatically attacking this because
mm,
I'm showing them the numbers, right? I'm showing them the data that shows that, see, you did this and this, but what you were doing before didn't work, right? So now this is why this is working. They automatically, a light bulb comes on, and then I can hit that mindfulness. It's, that's how you do it.
mic drop. Mic drop. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
So it's
Yes.
kind of like, is it kind of like helping them to restructure their actions bit by bit so it can get to them mentally?
Exactly. You have to that's perfect, Karmea, because you have to meet people where they're at. I'm like the mindset
Mhm.
of Jesus. He didn't go in there saying, "Oh, y'all are pimps and prostitutes and all this," right? He went in there and said, "Hey, I'm down with you, but let me show you another way."
Mhm.
Mm,
Right? And if you follow me, look what'll happen, right?
Right.
And
facts.
so you're absolutely right. They come to me, they do know it's a little different because their physician has referred them, right? Or if they do one of my online programs, which you don't have to be referred by a physician, it's still the same approach. They come to me thinking that, okay, this is going to do this for me. And it actually ends up being a life transforming thing. But we do it bit by bit. We set small goals step by step.
Mhm.
Love
All
it.
right. And exactly. And let them build upon each thing. And the big thing is to educate because when they get that education, right? So think about it. If you drive a car, right? I'm going to give you guys an example. If you drive to a location, you've driven there, somebody told you, come meet me here, X, Y, Z. You drive there and you can usually pretty much know how to get back if you've driven. But if you're a passenger in the car, a lot of times you won't be able to get to that same place. I give
Sure.
them the wheel and allow them to drive to their location.
And you act as the GPS guiding along the way.
Bingo. Bingo. You said it. I might have to steal that one. You said it. That's exactly it. And before you know it, they're feeling better. They're looking better. Their health indicators have improved. They're getting off medications or they're reducing their medications.
And their confidence is
Mhm.
restored because
Oh,
you let them drive.
and the
Not
key is they knew how they did it.
absolutely.
It wasn't just do this, right?
That's so real. So
Right?
because you
Okay.
push back and your expertise over all your vast knowledge, there's got to be some skepticism, right, from the
Oh,
medical community, some pushback from the medical community. How do you address the negative skepticism that you receive from the medical community about prioritizing lifestyle changes over maybe pharmaceuticals? How do you address those, and what would you say to big pharma saying to you, or some other third party expert, wellness expert, saying you shouldn't do that? Why would don't trust Miss Wells? What would you say to that negative skepticism that I know you've received?
actually, here's the thing. Numbers don't lie. I don't have to say anything. I show
Mm,
data. And I'm
facts.
not being arrogant. I swear on cheese,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being arrogant at all. Numbers don't lie. You don't have to believe me. Look at the data. This woman was on diabetes medication for 15, 20 years, high blood pressure medication, 15, 20 years. They've been with me for less than 3 months, 6 months, and they've reduced it already. The numbers don't lie. And it's actually opposite of what you think. Big pharma is not against doing things healthy. I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. And the healthcare industry is not overdoing something differently, doing things more holistically. Believe it or not, I bill my services to insurance
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and Medicare. The American Medical Association 2 years ago in June said that we should no longer use BMI as a health measure. We should be looking at body fat, social economic status, hereditary, just different things. It should be an actual more organic calculation. So they're not against it. But here's what it is. Most of the population, number one, big pharma plays on ignorance.
Yes,
People don't know they can do it a different way.
I
And
agree.
the ways that they've seen are so extreme, they're not attainable. So big pharma knows, oh, they're gonna take a pill. Plus, you can't knock a doctor for giving meds. That's what they went to medical school for. They
But
don't
it,
know they
What?
don't know to prescribe what I do.
so the
Well,
doctor, what? Go ahead, Carmea.
no, what she was saying, they play on ignorance because I'm in the medical field with medical insurance. They do. They play on ignorance. Like, say, for example, I don't know, Miss Wells, about, because, me, you have the
Just
same last
Dawn.
name.
Dawn, just call me Dawn. Just Dawn. Just
Well,
like
Don,
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you've seen the craze and the I can't call it a fad or it's a trend with the weight loss injections.
GP1 modifiers.
Yeah, the
hmm
the weight loss injections initially they was for people who had diabetes, they had
hmm
problems with their blood sugar. Then
hmm
they started putting it out there as, oh, this is a way you can lose weight. Then it
hmm
became a situation of now it increased the price for these medications. I mean, I'm gonna call them injections so people know for sure.
That's
It,
right.
it, it increased the price for the injections. Then you have the problem of now the people who really need them can't get to
Can't
them
get
like they
them.
need them. And it's as a lot of people, I'm gonna be completely honest. It is okay if you are diabetic and it's a necessity, but there's a lot of people right now who are using them because they don't want to do the work to actually become healthy. So they play off the ignorance of, okay, friend, you don't want to go to the gym. We're gonna go ahead and charge you $150 for this injection now. Now next
Yeah.
time when you come back, it's gonna be an extra 200.
Ex- exactly. And even and I it's really what you said, Carmia. They just don't want to do the work. And I don't even know if they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do the work. They don't know how to do the work. They've
Yeah.
tried all these weight loss programs and they may lose the 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50, 60, 70 pounds and put it
Right.
all right back on and bring friends with it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because they're doing it incorrectly. They don't have the knowledge behind what they need to doggone do. They don't know their body science, their nutrition science, their fitness science. And it's not rocket science. They don't know these things. So they keep doing what they think works, and it's the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I
But it's
you all are speaking to something that I have been seeing for a couple years now, and like you all are saying, I'm in agreement with you all. We're rushing for the immediate pill,
Yeah.
right? The
It's
super pill.
the
It's
instant gratification.
it's
yeah,
the
but
gratification.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's scary, but it's scary. It's really scary where we have progressed as a society, as Americans, because we want that instant gratification, we want that easy way out, but we don't really take in the ramifications or the side effects, or that there was another way.
That, yeah.
When I was first when I was talking to a friend of mine who told me about the gastric sleeve, having a
Mm-hmm.
portion of your stomach removed.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was. And I just asked what it was. And she said, well, they're going to remove a portion of my stomach so that I can eat less. You know, we've been doing that for years, right? On
Yeah,
Weight Watchers and counting your calories. You can do that without removing your
Exactly.
stomach. Just eat less.
I am a witness to that. I
That's
did it for I
extreme.
did it for myself because I wasn't the person to get surgery, not get surgery. I wasn't about to do that. So I went for to do a calorie deficit. I went for a calorie deficit calculator online, and that's what I used. And I would weigh in at the end of the month and change. I was going to the gym, 4 to 5 days, and I went 5 to 6. And I learned, I learned my body. I listened to my body. I went by the calorie deficit calculator and kept going. And
mm-hmm.
you're training your body to do the same thing the gastric sleeve is doing.
Exactly. But and there's one step further though. You did awesome. That was fantastic. But there's one step further behind that gets people stuck because they get the results you're talking about. You'll get the results, but then they end up coming back because
Yeah.
you have to do certain kinds of exercise. Okay. Usually, what people will do is join a boot camp, right? Or they'll go to the gym, like you said, first 3 days, then you added more days. But actually, that was a little bit backwards.
Mm.
We need to do more strength working as
Oh,
opposed to,
yeah.
right. Okay.
Weight
So
training. Hmm.
great training, but you don't have to go 6 days a week to do it. And that is what another thing that turns people off. They feel they don't want to do it because it takes too much. And it really doesn't. It really and truly doesn't. And if they realize that some of what they're already doing in their daily living, just the activities that they do in their daily living,
Hmm.
they're already executing part of what they need to do to get it off, keep it off, and then keep going and heal themselves again. Because it's not weight that this issue; it's the sicknesses that come with the excessive fat and inflammation that we have in our bodies.
Mm.
So yeah, that's good. But you don't necessarily have to increase it. But you did excellent. You did it, and what you said the key thing was, you learned your science. You learned what your body needed.
2 points. 2 points for Karmea Wells.
Absolutely, Carmia.
I have to. I
Absolutely.
have.
It
Go ahead.
started with her mindset. She
She
didn't just
changed her
go
mind.
do it.
Environment.
She had to start with this first. And she said
Hmm.
the first thing that you said was, I was not gonna have the surgery. That was your it for you. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Between not having the surgery and a military official that was a nutritionist on base telling me you're not big enough for surgery. You're just lazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
That sounds
look.
like the
That.
Marine Corps. That sounds like the Marine Corps.
That does sound like us.
Yes.
You
Yes.
guys are tell the truth. You don't
That
sugarcoat
was
nothing.
Straight up like
no.
it is, right?
That was Army. And
Oh,
Oh,
he was
okay. Okay.
straightforward with me. I remember the man was huge. He had the duck his head of the military hospital, duck his head to come in there, big man. But he was fit.
Wow.
I
Right,
remember he
right.
had a red curly hair on the top, faded everywhere else. And he said, "You're not." He was like, "Yeah,
You're
you're
just
beautiful.
lazy.
You're not big enough for the surgery. You're just lazy."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, you just gonna say that?" He was like, "Well, I gotta be honest." I
And
was like,
part of
"Oh,
it too, though, is just people just don't know. They really don't know. They've tried all these different things, and
mhm.
let's get back to sicknesses. So you, I don't believe, and I might be speaking out of turn. Maybe you didn't have sickness. Maybe you didn't have diabetes. Maybe you didn't have
I
fibromyalgia. Go
for
ahead.
myself, I was borderline diabetic." Borderline. And I was borderline for quite some
Mm.
time in my life because they were saying that I had insulin resistance, but I wasn't diabetic and they wasn't sure why. And I was like
Mm.
that ever since I was young. I was just on the borderline. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
diabetic and then I was just
Mm-hmm.
on the borderline.
Just like metabolic syndrome. It sounds like
Mhm.
what you had. Yeah. So, but for a lot of people, that have chronic conditions, they don't realize that some fitness programs are not meant for them. It's actually going to
Yeah.
make them more sick. For instance, fibromyalgia, somebody that has fibromyalgia, they really should only be working out 35 to 45% of their maximum capacity. The same thing for uh choo, choo, choo. It crosses escapes my mind at the point, but it's they have holes in their immune system. And so with that, with the condition I'm speaking about now, it's just escaping my mind. That's another one where they cannot work out. They can't do exercise at their maximum capacity. So a boot camp is going to make them more sick. So
Mhm.
you have to know this, and that's the thing about medical fitness. We are addressing the root cause of your chronic condition and healing you from the inside out
Right.
without medication.
I love that.
We're using fitness and nutrition.
Science hitting
Yes,
y'all with
right. And it's easy. It's easy. It's not hard. It really is not that hard.
hitting y'all with the science. Something that you are expert in, and you talked about this on previous. I stalked you for a second. You
Oh.
talked about this on previous podcast interviews that you've done, and I've read your work and your bio. And it was something that I came across years ago, and you have inspired me. I want to say this to you publicly. You have inspired me to pick this back up. But
Awesome.
you have done the research into blood types and how that affects your health. And
Yes.
so I would love for you to talk about what you've discovered, what you've learned, and share what led you to explore the connection between blood types and our health.
So the healing is in the blood. That's biblical. Biblical. That's not even what I say, right? And that's a fact. And it's the healing truly is because the sickness is in our blood. So obviously the healing would be there as well, right?
Right.
But I was exposed. Actually, a friend of mine, 25, 25 years ago, exposed me to Dr. Peter Diadamo's book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And so I said, okay, this is interesting here, and the science behind it made sense to me. So I was like, well, let me try this. I had no health concerns, other than having bulimia. I've never even had a cavity before, so I had no sicknesses. But I was like, I know I would get gassy sometimes and things like that, right, from certain things I was eating. So I was like, let me see if this is really true. So I started to subscribe to eating according to my blood type based upon his teachings. And it made a significant difference in how I felt, how I slept, my energy levels, everything. And so I started when I crossed over into healthcare. I was just doing fitness initially before I got into medical fitness, and then I became a nutritionist. Um, I started to realize, you know what? I could do this with other people, right? And so I did. I started doing it with people before I became medical fitness. I was just doing personal training, and I started giving blood-based nutrition plans to my clients, and they were seeing huge differences in how they were feeling. And like I said, they started feeling the same way I did. So I knew right there I was onto something, and I just incorporated it into my program. And over the years, I've just continued to follow what Dr. Diadamo has put out, and continue to incorporate it into the nutrition plans that I prescribe. So now when I'm doing a medical nutrition plan, I'm going to always make sure that it's according to your blood type first, and then your health concerns.
So I'm gonna just throw out there, like,
Yeah.
say for instance, I'm just, was you laughing, Marcus?
Throw it. Throw
Okay,
it.
like, say for example, I think it could be a blood type thing myself. I'm not sure, but like as a woman, for myself,
Mhm.
when it gets close to my time, I start to have a taste for like red meats, like steak. When it get close to my time, but I have gotten tested by my doctors around that time. And they're like, oh, well, you don't have low iron or nothing. Then why is it that I just got to have this around this time frame? Could that be something regarding my blood type?
It could, and yes. Are you an O blood type?
I don't know. But
You don't.
is that something listed on the birth certificate? Somebody
On
let me know.
So there's like 5 different ways you can find out, but some states do have it on your on your birth certificate. Very few physicians, believe it or not, like healing is in the blood. Why don't they know your blood type? No, unless you are going to have surgery, typically they're not testing that. They're trying to test you for sickness. They're not testing you for healing. They're trying to test you
Mhm.
to treat your symptoms, right? But the healing starts with the blood. So if you don't have it from your physician, you could ask. Some do, but most don't. You could do that, or you could also donate blood, which is free. You could donate, and you'll be helping save a life. Donate blood, or you could get a kit. But make sure if you get a kit, it's USDA or FDA approved, so that you can ensure accurate results. But yes, so if you give me a couple of things, I might be able to tell by the things that you like and don't like and how your body responds to it. Typically, I can guess, but I still recommend 1000% getting a test and testing it, find out. All right, donate blood. But yes, to answer your question, it could definitely be blood based
Craving.
specific cravings, but it also is saying to me there's a deficiency, a specific nutrient deficiency that you're craving. And so when you're losing blood, your body is craving that because you're losing that nutrient. So you may not be iron deficient, like you said, you've had testing done when you were on your cycle, but it could be something around that. But more than likely, if you're craving meat like that, a dense meat diet, you're probably a O blood type. And if you're not eating much meat, then yeah, that could be an indication.
Well, yeah,
So,
I eat protein often, but not
Oh,
like steak. Like steak.
protein. Hold on though. Protein is one thing. Meat is something
Oh,
else.
oh yeah, yeah. Meat, chicken, a lot. Uh, chicken a lot.
But now, if
Uh,
you're a B blood type and you're eating chicken, it's toxic.
oh.
Chicken is like poison. So you shouldn't be eating that. That's not, you shouldn't. I never tell anybody what they
No,
shouldn't.
no, no, no.
It
I get
it
what you're
it
saying.
causes your blood to have more agglutination, which creates more inflammation. So protein is one word. Meat is something else. And the reason why I did that, Carmia, is because we in this country have learned food all wrong. In most countries teach nutrients. So they look at protein. So that protein isn't just meat. It comes from multiple different sources. There's plant-based protein, right? So
Yeah,
which
like nuts.
fish,
Hmm.
yeah, there's different. No, nah, no, nuts are not. That's a fat.
Oh,
See,
no,
we
my
don't even.
apologies.
We no, don't be apologetic. I love it. Power, listen, power is in knowledge. Y'all, I will talk to you for 5,000 hours and y'all will kick me off this show. Okay, I get passionate about this stuff.
never doing that.
You'll kick me off this show, but I'm so loving it. Don't be apologetic and don't feel like, oh, I don't know, I'm stupid. You're not. It is none of that.
Mhm.
It's just we've not been taught that. If we had have learned nutrition and learned how to identify the macronutrients on site in school as opposed to just the food groups, we wouldn't be in a country where 70% of our US population has one chronic condition, 50% has two or more, and our children now are 50% have chronic conditions as well. We wouldn't be sick, but we've been set up so you don't know. You don't know that this is a this is a meat. Yes, meats are proteins. You didn't say that wrong. But what I want to make sure, I want to change that mindset,
Mm.
mental thinking to say that just meat is protein, because it's not. Because like you said, you thought nuts were, but it's a fat. But you don't know.
Absolutely.
Or
I, I,
go
I,
ahead.
no, this is good. I had the pleasure and the honor of buying that book,
Good.
and it works. It scary works, because I'm an O positive, and I knew that just because I served in the military and it's on my
Hmm.
dog tags,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
so they're gonna test you in the military no matter what.
Right.
And the book speaks to one, it speaks to the food groups and differentiate, making that differentiation, but specifically my blood type, which is O positive.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks to the history of my blood type
Mm-hmm.
and the connection of what my ancestors with my blood type. And so that doctor that
Yes.
she mentions did massive studies on specific blood types. And what the doctor found was my I can only speak to my blood type, because that's what I tuned into, has an ancestry that is very rural and very carnivorous. We ate off the land, right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
O positive blood types, we tend to do well with foods that you can typically grow. So same example,
And
meat,
meat,
meat.
meat.
We heavy on meat. And so
Mm.
that's why and now I understand why I have a tendency, like what you were saying, I crave meat
I do too. I'm
because
O
my
as
body,
well.
see, but my
Mm.
body, and that's why I don't care for candy. I don't care for candy
Mm-hmm.
because it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that my ancestors would make. If we're
Mm-hmm.
talking, and it's talking about hunter gatherer
Mm-hmm.
ancestors, it's not talking
Mm-hmm.
about 100 years ago. It's talking hunter gatherer. If I can catch it, I can cook it,
Yes.
right? And I'm gonna
Yep.
grill it, right? No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's no microwave back then.
No.
And so
Mm,
now
mm,
my
mm,
diet
mm,
craves boiled or baked
mm-hmm.
foods or
Mm-hmm.
grilled, because
Mm-hmm.
that's close to what my blood type, and my body processes it really well, better than
Exactly.
someone. And so my body, when I eat some baked chicken, my
Mm,
body absorbs it like that and it loves it. But let me eat some bread, some store-bought breads, the fancy foo-foo bread, right? That they hormonalize and they put all the junk in it. It'll
mm-hmm.
take me hours to process that bread.
It give you
And
gas
so,
too.
and it'll give me some horrible gas.
Mm,
And so that book, when I tried it, I just tried it. I just tried the book. And when I tell you I got lean, I lost, I think, 50 pounds. I
mm,
got super lean. And I was like looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't recognize myself. I had more energy when
mm,
I
mm,
worked out, when I
mm-hmm.
stuck strictly to the diet that they lay out in that book. And
Exactly.
it is
Mm-hmm.
powerful, and it is scary powerful how different I felt just from eating the foods that they recommend, that they suggested. They don't recommend, but they suggested in that book. And it
Exactly.
was incredible. And you can really take the book and just hash out the pages that are applicable to you. I read the whole thing, but then I
Mm-hmm.
went back and I just hashed out the points that were
For
applicable to me.
you
I don't
only.
I don't need to read the
Right.
whole book every time. I just need to
Right.
read the portions that speak to O positive blood types.
And
So
now there's
that
even
book,
an app. He has an app that comes with the
you
book. So like,
serious?
it's like $5 you can, or $4. You can get it one time, and you don't. It's not a subscription. But to that point, and here, Dr. Diadam does an amazing job. And yes, he even says like, depending on what your not national, your race is, and your genealogical history is, how often you're supposed to eat certain of those proteins. Um, how many times a week you should have this or that, or things that are neutral. But I want to make it even more simplistic. Can I break it down to you guys to show you, to tell
Mm-hmm.
you why his science works and why it, this is a Dawnism
Please.
101. All right. So here we go. Like the hair start? Here you go.
Mhm. Ready,
so
ready.
so if you think about fish, right?
Right,
There's saltwater and freshwater, right?
right.
Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
agree? Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
If you, what would happen if you put a saltwater fish in a freshwater environment?
It'll drown. It'll die.
Die, right? It will not
Yes,
thrive. It will not thrive first, and then eventually it may die.
yes, ma'am.
Take out that fish, right, and put in your bloodstream, right? Because that's the conduit for all of our nutrients, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And think about the blood types. Doesn't it just make sense that if I am an O blood type, let's say saltwater fish, and you are an A, I'm sorry, gonna say Karmea because she doesn't know for sure which blood type she is an A.
Hmm.
Doesn't it? We both need the water streams, right? We both need the macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, right? We both need those. But doesn't it just make sense that where I get my macronutrients and where you get yours from are gonna be prevalent to my blood type or my water type?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Doesn't it? We both need
It
it.
does.
We both need bodies of water to thrive. We both need the macronutrients to thrive. But where we get them from, right, is going to be, it just makes sense. But even without his science, that I need to stay in my saltwater environment to thrive. I need to stay with getting my protein from meat. And you need to stay in your freshwater environment and doing plant-based proteins.
Mm.
Absolutely.
And that's just protein, but it's all the macronutrients. But doesn't that's just a 101. And I came up with that analogy from my aunt because she was a diabetic and she started becoming malnourished because she was scared to eat. The program that they sent her to, she didn't know what to do. So she severely malnourished. And my cousin sent her down here to me. And to help her, I was like, God, give me a way to help her to be able to understand macronutrients and how to identify them on site. And that's one of the things that I came with for her to understand that. And then I came up with a whole nother concept for her to be able to identify those macronutrients just by sight. Because, like you said, you thought a nut was a protein. Now, the trick behind that is most foods have multiple macronutrients. They'll have all three macronutrients, most of them, right? So it was a trick. Yes, nuts do have protein in them. However, whichever nutrient they are most dense in, which in the case of a nut is fat,
Mm.
that
Amino
is,
acids.
well, no, amino acids are protein, babe.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. That is that a protein or is that a fat? I thought that was a fat
No,
part. No?
essential. Okay, so an essential amino acid is the active. I'm gonna for in layman's terms, it's the active ingredient in your meat. So we eat
Dang.
protein for the essential amino acids.
Hmm.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Mhm.
Because think about it. And see, this is where the disconnect comes. We don't think of food as having a purpose. We live to eat instead of eating to live. Food should have a purpose. When we eat protein, it's to rebuild our muscles,
Mm.
restore our muscles, and rebuild the muscles that we've torn down. So that's why we eat it, not just because it tastes good. You have to pimp your food. You have to learn how to pimp your food.
Big,
A lot
big.
of cake. I was tell Marcus, I don't know if you saw the video I shared in my story in TikTok. What was it, like a week or so ago? And the woman was talking about like health wise. She was like, she's like, I don't eat for taste anymore, babes. I don't eat for
Yeah.
taste anymore. And some stuff I honestly don't eat for taste. It's like it has to happen. And we're just doing it
you
wrong.
right.
It has to happen. I'm
You just you
sorry.
just need to have it, right? You just have to
Yeah.
eat it because you know your body
Hmm.
doesn't need it, right? My
Hmm.
sister hates bananas. Oh my gosh, she cannot stand bananas, and they grow on the trees right outside her house. She can't stand them, but she knows she must have them, so she eats them for that she'll eat them for that very reason. So it's not to say go eat a bunch of stuff you don't like because you can get potassium from other sources. It's just
Right.
I'm just using that as an example. But your Carmia, you are an anomaly. Trust me, you are not the norm. You have learned what this thing is all about, but most people have not. And most people, and it even doesn't even require a lot of discipline because you don't need to do this 100% of the time. Subscribe to it 80%, and You'll get the same results as somebody that's subscribing to it 100% of the time. You could still go out and have a burger. You could still. I'm not supposed to eat potatoes, but sometimes I'm gonna have French fries
Yeah.
Hmm.
It just
occasionally.
occasionally
Right.
it's portion size and then the other things,
Eh,
but you
mm,
start with the blood type, like you said.
Yes, exactly. The healing is in the blood, period.
I was trying to think why I got off the diet, and it dawned on me while you were educating me is the reason why I got off the diet that was working, that blood type diet, was because I ate meats and my body processed the meat so well, but it created bad breath, and so it resulted in me.
Did you get GERD?
I did
Okay.
because I
But
was eating a lot of protein, which was good for me, but I developed stinky breath.
the problem was you weren't getting but no, that's not the meat's problem. Don't be blaming that
No.
on meat. No, sir. It's because you did not you can't just eat meat and meat and meat. Too much of anything is not good.
So
Right.
it's the balance that he needed in
He
other
he was
foods.
missing fiber. He was missing
Ah.
the fiber that he needed to break that down. So it wasn't the meat. Don't be blaming me for your greediness. You just greedy. That's the problem. You supposed to get a hold of a good thing and then know how to dang on stop. That's the problem. So
it
don't
was
be
it was
yeah.
easy for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I can eat meat, done deal.
Yeah.
And like I
Right.
said, I
But
But
not
lost
you,
weight. It was great. I was like, that's not hard to remember.
you did not have the balance that you needed. You needed more fiber in your diet. The body cannot, no matter what the blood type is, excessive meat will be a hard process for your liver. And so you
ooh,
must consume fiber, enough fiber to offset that. And that's through green, deep, dark leafy greens, just, different ways. There are different ways for you to get that in, but that's what happened. You just went OD'd on that meat because you're like, ooh, because you're greedy. That's the problem.
It's like I said, it was easy for me to like, okay, I could eat a Big Mac and just throw
Yeah.
away all this bun, throw away all this other stuff.
no,
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 no, no, no.
absolutely not.
One of the common things that we hear people say is, "Oh, you have good genes, you have good genetics." Can you debunk that myth for us? Is
Yeah,
my genetics playing a role? We talked about blood, we talked about the health and wellness, but what is your stance on the role of genetics versus lifestyle in determining health outcomes for people?
absolutely. Genetics plays a factor. Because listen, guys, here's the facts. You can't control your health. You can contribute to it.
Right.
But you can't control it. But you can control your wellness. And so
Hmm.
there's no such thing as good genes or bad genes. They are what they are.
Mhm.
Okay. And you have to learn how to live within your genial pool and
Right.
learn what it does need. That's what that is. So
Absolutely.
it's not so yes, your genes, and I hope I answered your question. It's not this big old scientific answer. I mean, it could be, but I'm not gonna do all that because then I want people to understand what we're talking about here. All right.
That's good.
So it's about, yes, your genes do play a factor in it. So for instance, if cancer runs in your
Yeah,
family,
I am
okay,
somebody
it
the
runs in mine.
same.
I
My
told
my
you.
mother passed and my grandmother passed.
My one day apart. My mother and her mother, one day apart, they passed away. And cancer runs is a long line of cancer that runs in our family. Did she do something to get leukemia? No, she didn't. She she got it. We don't know if it's asbestos because back then, I'm 53, so I don't know if asbestos was a thing then or what the case was. But regardless of what it wasn't something that she did to make herself sick, right? And you can't, and
Hmm.
it ran deep in our family. So many people had cancer, so you can't control that, right? But you can contribute to your lifestyle, right? If you know you're in an area that's full of asbestos, don't go there, or just different things. I'm making that up, but
Oh,
there's things you can do to contribute to not making it actually be an issue for you in your adult life. So yes, Marcus, yes, yes, and yes, your play a huge factor. I mean, you said it when we were even talking about blood type, right? So your
My,
ancestors, your genes, that's part of it.
yeah. Have you ever encouraged someone to change their environment for health reasons? And I'll curve that up with a curveball and an example that a friend of mine experienced. She and her husband were trying to get pregnant, and where they lived, um, the place that they live had mold, mildew. It was not a conducive environment. Her body naturally did not feel good in the environment, which she feels prevented her from getting pregnant. Do
Mm-hmm.
you ever, in the health and fitness aspect, have you ever encouraged someone to say, listen, you need to change your environment, you need to change um where you're hanging out, where you're spending the most time? If you spend the most time at a bar, right, and you're consuming large portions of alcohol which has molasses in it, have you ever encouraged a client to change their environment for health and wellness reasons, and why?
What I do is this: I never tell anybody anything what they need to do because they're gonna immediately be like, "Ah!" It's like a bad kid. You tell them don't touch the fire, what are they gonna do? Go touch the fire, right? That's the first thing they're gonna doggone do. All right. So I'll never tell anybody because we're dealing with grown people here. I don't tell them what they should do. What I do is challenge the thinking. Like again, it's mindset. So for
Mm-hmm.
instance, let's say this. I had a client, a patient. She was actually a patient, and she used to drink wine, glass of wine every day. Okay. She said it was to relax her 7 days a week. She was drinking wine
Mm,
7 days a week. And so I actually included in her nutrition plan, I included her wine.
really?
You heard me, right? Yes, I did.
Yes, ma'am. Wow.
Because you give them what they want. Remember I said that?
Yes, ma'am.
And to give them what, and then help them to get what they need. So I'm getting to your question. So I included those calories from her wine in her nutrition plan. All right. And she was not getting the results she wanted. So I said, hmm, let me ask you this. And my therapist actually did this to me. And this is what I do to people now. I said, okay, let me ask you this. What do you think is contributing to this? I said, look at well, what you're eating. She had a pretty good lifestyle. She wasn't partying or anything. She's like, it's probably the wine. I said, hmm. I said, okay, so let's test this. I said, would it be realistic to say that for the rest of your life you only drink wine 5 days a week instead of 7? Can you do that? She's like, yeah, I could do that. And she's like, okay, yeah. So she did it. And she started getting a little bit more results. And I'm not making this up. This is a fact. This is a true story.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we went on to the part where she ended up not wanting wine at all. And what she realized is that she was deficient. She was craving the sugar, but she really just wanted the bubbly. So I said, well, how about try some flavored seltzer water and put
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of fruit flavor in there. And then she did that and then started where she didn't even need it at all because we traded out her wine, her carbohydrates, the wine carbohydrates for real food carbohydrates. So as she cut back, I was able to give her more of what she needed.
Mm-hmm.
So where she didn't need it anymore. She didn't want the wine anymore. So to answer your question, that was a long answer, I know, but it's
Yes,
important
ma'am.
to give examples, right? So people can relate. So I'm never ever gonna tell someone this what you need to stop doing this and don't do that. I let them see the data and let the data tell them what they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
And
if
then,
they suggest it, they'll do it. If I suggest it, they won't. And
Mm-hmm.
they may, but it'll be short lived. Right. And
yeah,
I want them to be receptive to the program so they can heal.
you make them feel like they came up with it all by themselves.
Well,
Oh, look at your chart,
yeah.
girl. Your chart is doing better.
Look at you're doing
What are
so
you?
good. But they did, and it doesn't matter. What do I care? As long as they're getting the results. I don't care
Right.
about being right. I care about what my God put me on this planet to do, and is to heal people, to make them understand you don't have to be on medication for the rest of your life 90% of the time. You do not have to be on diabetes medications. You do not have to stay. That's what I'm here to do.
I want
And
to.
go ahead.
I want to hit you with a question, and this is probably
Did
selfish.
that
High
answer
blood
your
pressure.
question? Did
It
that
did.
answer your
It
question?
did. It did. I'm being greedy and going for a second round.
Go for it.
So
You see what that meat did to you?
now I'm gonna get that app. I'm gonna get back on it, and I'm gonna really because it works.
And I
It,
got you. Just Marcus, we gonna talk. I got you.
what is it? High blood pressure runs heavy in the African community, and again, if I didn't say this, I'm so sorry for you guys' loss, losing your family to
Mm-hmm.
cancer. What also runs heavy in the African American community is high blood pressure. What is a tip that you would give to someone who's taking blood pressure medication? They've been taking it for a long time, but want to get off. Any suggestions, fitness wise, foods wise, that you commonly or routinely suggest to your clients?
Yes. I just lost my father just passed away 3 weeks ago.
Oh my
And he had high blood pressure and he had high blood pressure for decades and then decided to be a rebel because he had some dementia and did not take his blood pressure medication. And he was living in Iowa and I'm in Georgia. So I could not manage him. Um,
I'm
and so
sorry.
he had a stroke, then another stroke, and it just worked. And on top of that, he had kidney failure. No,
So
not kidney.
sorry.
Excuse me, liver disease, which is what the blood pressure medications do to you over time. This is not my assumption. This is facts. There's scientific proof.
Mm.
And my dad died. All right, and so that's near and dear to me. High blood pressure. It runs in the Black community because we have dealt with so much of the same things. It doesn't have to. We don't have to all have high blood pressure, but the stress levels that we have, right? The foods that we consume doesn't run in our communities. Have it because we all have done the same thing for generation after generation, right? And dealt with the same stress. So my first tip is to just start to be more intentional with your movement. Start that because
Yes,
that is what's going to help you to start to heal. You have to get more active, any kind of exercise. All right, so I don't say that because a lot of people don't want to exercise. Be more intentional with your movement. And then the
Mm-hmm.
second thing I say is learn your blood type. That's the first, honestly, because some of the foods that you're eating are contributing to you having this high blood pressure, the inflammation. And then the third thing I say to them is rest. As a community, we don't rest. We don't rest. And it's because of our history, right? We've had to grind. We've had to go harder. We had to be smarter. We had to have worked harder. So the stress levels are there, but we need to rest. And those three things alone will start you on the healing process.
wow, 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 wow. That that hit home. That hit home. So you heard it here, y'all. Miss Wells, oh my gosh, how can people connect with you? What should someone have when setting up a consultation with you, setting up an appointment with you? What should they have ready to go so that they can transition to you and connect with you and get better and live the type of life, the quality of life that they were always meant to have? What should they have coming to you?
An open mind. That's all I need. The desire to do something differently. That's it. Everything else we can get. And I mean, obviously I'm one person, but I do have online programs that they could do. Um, you don't have to necessarily work one of me. I've learned and been able to create a way that people can do one of my programs, and they'll still have access to me, right, in weekly calls and such like that. But that's all they need. From there, I do everything else. Let's make it simple. Because if I come to you with prerequisites and protocols and all this crap in the beginning, you won't come. So just come to me as you are and be ready to receive help. Period. Just be ready.
What you mentioned protocols and you mentioned that you have systems and processes in place. What technology that you use in your wellness programs in addition to those things? Do you have an app? Do you have
Yes.
any?
Good question. So I have a whole, it's an actual online program. It's not an e-course, but it's set up such like that, where they're going to get the knowledge from that, but they're also going to get medical fitness work that are going to be best for the most common chronic conditions that people have. So it is an online program in that way, used through a CRM program. But I do also have accountability tools that are used in an app where they're going to get daily mindful meditations, things like that. Chat groups. So I use all of the common technologies, chat groups. Yes, I do have an app that I utilize for the accountability, and then a online program, like I said, in order for them to get healed. But in the beginning of the process, we will start with a questionnaire, a very brief questionnaire for me to first understand what their health concerns are. If they're not going to go the insurance route, if they're not going to go through their physician, which they don't have to get them going. And so, yeah, like that. It's really simple. Very, very simple.
Do I need a referral to come see you, or can I just come straight to you?
If you want to go through your insurance, yes, you will need a physician referral, but I give you the referral to give to them because most physicians don't know what medical fitness is, unfortunately. And so I give them a referral. I do give them a referral form for them to take to their physician, and then they get that to me, and then we go through get all their information so that we could see about billing it through the insurance. If they are not, which is a much far, and all of my programs are very affordable. Let me just say that. I'm of the mindset set of figuring out how we can make it work than how we cannot make it work, right? And so they won't need, though, if they want to do one of my online programs, they will not need a physician referral, and we can get them going right away. And I'm going to tell you something. Within the first 7 days of being on the program, of actually doing your medical nutrition and your medical fitness, you're going to start to see results. 7 days, you'll start to feel better. That's a fact.
Feel the facts.
Yep.
I don't typically ask this question, but I wanted to ask, because you're not doing this. Well, throughout this interview, you've shared a pure heart of gold, right? You're doing this because you want to change a paradigm. You want to change us. You want to change someone's story so they don't repeat what
And my father.
being your father and what you've experienced. And so throughout this, you've heard the humanity, you've heard the heart behind Miss Wells. Miss Wells, what legacy do you hope to leave in your field of health and wellness? What is the legacy you intend to leave behind for the next generation to pick up the mantle on?
Just what I said from the beginning, that you can be healthy and it doesn't require extreme measures in order to do it.
That's it.
That's it.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. Miss Wells, this has been an incredible interview. I don't know about you, Karmea. She almost got me. She almost got me with the tear live, and then I had to kill the whole recording. Because I'm a thug. You can't thug some pride. But Miss Wells,
meat-eating thug.
Absolutely, caveman. Miss Wells, you are incredible. You're absolutely phenomenal, and you're changing the world. You're changing lives every single day. And I want to ask you this final question, as we gotta let you go, unfortunately, but hope to have you back in the future. What would you say to that young boy, that young girl whose back is against the wall, and they got drugs? The doctor wants to give them all kinds of drugs. He's recommending Ozempic. He's recommending Wegovy, and he's just overwhelmed with the amount of data. What would you say to them watching you right now, right here, if you had any nuggets to get off the fence and get better?
I always say, start with your why. Why? Why do you want to be this? Why are you wanting the medications? Why do you want whatever? What is your why behind even finding out why you're taking in information? Figure out that why, hold on to that why. And then after that, go find out your blood type and then come see me. I got you.
Absolutely. And how can we find you? What socials?
Everything is DWF Wellness, DWF Delta Water Frank Wellness.
Connect. All right, y'all. We got nothing else. Karmea, you got anything for our wonderful audience?
No, not at all. As you know, I've expressed multiple times, being on my health journey, learning my body, learning what my process is to get to where I'm going. But I do want to say to everyone out there, one step at a time. You know, knowledge, knowing yourself, your body first is everything. And you get that foundation, you'll be able to go forward.
Right. But yeah, be careful of all the information out there. One step, that's definitely it. But finding out why, this is awesome. Karmea, you've found it, and I'm so proud of you. Kudos
Thank
to
you.
You are what I want the masses to be you. Yes.
Love it. Like we end every show, I can't come behind any of that. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and
which one? With Karmea Wells, the Orthodox Southern Belle.
And the phenomenal, incredible, super fragilistic espialidocious Miss
Dawn, the Wiz of Wellness, Wells.
signing off. Love you guys. Bye.
Mwah.